Quincy, thank you for sitting down. And, where I want to start is really the beginning of your journey. If you could share with us who you are, where you come from, what drives you.
Without my parents, I wouldn't be here. So just going back to them, my mom was 16 when she had me. My dad was a little bit older, he's 19. It was tough. They didn't have support from their parents, didn't have support from anyone but just themselves. My mom had this mentality that no matter what, if I'm gonna do this, I'm going to work hard for what I want, for the life that I want. I'm going to do right by my child, and I'm gonna make sure that when he grows up, he can understand that if you work hard enough, you can set a life that you can be proud of. My mentality, everything I am, I learned from my mother. It's about working hard, about making a name for myself, a legacy to leave behind.
Something that I've noticed about you is that you are an opportunity maker. You make opportunity where some people might not see an opportunity. Someone asks you to do A and you deliver A, B, and C. You show up so fully ready to seize a moment. I know you've been through a lot of hardship, and I know you've been through a lot of struggle, and I know that there's times when you probably didn't feel that you were able to seize that moment. So how did that transformation happen from the kid who grew up couch surfing and doing these different things into who you are now, where you are literally ready to step in every moment?
I think one thing about me, I always believed, and I still believe to this day, is that everybody internally knows that they are capable. There's something in them that tells them, I can. But then it's in your mind and in your environment and everything around you that says, oh, you can't. You know what I'm saying? But what if? But what if this? But what if that? And so for me, I think everyone comes to a place in their life where they have to make a decision to either rise to it and say, I can, and I'm gonna fight against everything telling me I can't, and I'm gonna jump. For me, it was with music. And I told my parents I wanted to be a musician, I wanted to be an artist. 17, 18 years old, and I just remember playing this small gig in the community center, and I just remember there were probably 20 people in the room. They're all sitting on chairs. And after I had said my piece, people were tearing. When you see just these stories that you write just as therapy can make people feel something like that, it changes your entire life. And so for me, I was like, whoa, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And so coming to my parents, and I was like, they don't understand it because they've never seen it from my perspective. But then they were like, oh, no, well,
had they seen you do that before?
No, they knew that I liked it.
Could you do it in front of them the way you did it in front of people
No
you
way.
didn't know? Yeah.
No way,
Yeah.
not at all.
Yeah.
I needed to get out of home to do it somewhere else and see and understand what I was worth outside of this environment that I was in. Being able to tell them, well, you know what, if you really say that I can't do this, I'm going. And that's where I packed up my things and I'm gone. I didn't know what the heck I was gonna do. But in that moment is where I made that decision, and I said, I'm gonna fight for myself right now. And I think everyone has to come to that place where you either choose yourself or you choose everyone around you. When I go to things like these, or when I go speak at an event or perform, I don't think I'm ready, but I'm willing to fight for myself in that moment. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake, but I'm gonna find my way through. And that's always how I've always maneuvered, is I don't care to fail. You know what I'm saying? I don't care to make mistakes. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna keep trying, and I'm gonna learn. If I hit the ground, I learn what made me slip. You know what I'm saying? I understand how much I hate what the ground tastes like right now, eating people's dust, and I'm going to get out of this and never feel like this again. And you learn. Just the fact that I'm alive and sitting here today is just a testament of how many times I failed and succeeded. You know what I'm saying? Because if I truly failed, I would not be in this seat right now.
There's so much for me to break down in what you just said. First of all, you are right now speaking as a true entrepreneur, because a true entrepreneur is literally a series of mistakes.
Yeah.
A series of scrapes, a series of falls, of literally licking the dust off the floor, and getting back up and going back in. And you get so confident in the end because you've licked so many floors that there's nothing left to fear.
Exactly.
You bear it all.
Exactly. That's it. And a lot of people ask me this too. I say, because I'm the type of person that preaches for entrepreneurship. I say we need to teach our youth about entrepreneurship. We need to teach our youth about how money works, about capitalism, about all these things. And people think, oh, but entrepreneurship, that means it's so hard to, I don't know how to start my own business. I tell people entrepreneurship isn't about starting a business. It's a mentality. It's a way that you live. It's being resourceful. It's being creative. It's being able to look at things for what they are and seeing something else. It's being a visionary. It's being someone who's able to like just create. I love creating. I love seeing things, and I think that every human being is naturally creative from the minute we step out. That's why a lot of kids like drawing. That's why a lot of kids like painting and singing and being free and climbing on things and jumping off couches and we're creative. We love breaking rules. And for me, when I look at the world and why I love entrepreneurship is the fact that for me, it's about breaking rules. Right? There's a structure to how companies run or how organizations run, and they think this is how we're supposed to do things. As an entrepreneur, I come in and say, that's cool, I love the way you're doing it, but have you thought about this?
Right.
Have you thought about that? Do you need this? I noticed that this structure that you have here, it's missing something. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to try and fill that gap for you. And that's entrepreneurship to me. It's not about starting business or doing all this stuff. It's literally a mindset. It's a mentality. It's a life. It's a way of living. That's how I look at it.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think the issue is that independent of our circumstances, okay? Financial circumstances, the community we grew up in, all of it. We grow up in a particular system. That particular system tells us that there's only enough for some. There's only a limited amount of success. There's only one or two ways to get there or to do it. And, you know, even right now, and this may be controversial for me to say, but I see a lot of schools and, you know, business schools that are trying to teach people entrepreneurship. But the thing is that entrepreneurs are born, not bred. And that's not to say that anyone can't be one, but your pathway to getting there is not because some dude sat around a table and wrote a few courses out that make you that.
Something needs to happen in order to make that shift.
Well, and I agree, and I think what needs to happen is that you need to identify that there's something you need that you can't get by way of anyone else, so you have to do it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it, and that's what I was talking about earlier. It's literally about there comes a point where you're gonna have to choose you or the people around you. And I think I've been living this way now ever since I just wake up every day. I say, if there's a will, there's a way. Even if things are hard, even if no one has done it before, that's how we become things.
That's innovation.
That's how we get, you know what I'm saying, CEOs, you know what I'm saying? That's how we get execs, that's how we get entrepreneurs, that's how we get presidents, you know, who break the standards. You have to have that mentality. If you think that no one has done it before and there's only limited amount of space, you are already a victim to your own mindset. You are holding yourself back. That whole thing of thinking like that, like only limited amount of people get these opportunities. Okay, so what? You gotta work harder then. You go in, get into these rooms by whatever way you can, you know what I'm saying, to say, look, I'm here now, and I can do it better than 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in your room. Hire me. Or if not, I'm gonna start my own thing and do it better than the 5 people that you have. Okay, cool, so now when you realize that I'm the person that you need, I'm gonna charge you 20 times that. Thank you, have a good day.
That's the difference between an inauthentic conversation about entrepreneurship 101 and actually sitting down with someone who's lived, who has pushed, and who is now sitting in their seat of confidence that they earned, okay? You earn your authenticity, you earn your stripes through the times that you scrape up and all of those things, you earn it. But let's go back for a second, because there are going to be people that are listening to us right now that feel the heaviness of the depression, that feel the cloud of the trauma, that feel the weight of all of the times they've been told they're just another number, they're just another statistic. And then what's the most painful thing is when you're told you're just this and you're just that, and you actually start to become it. We spoke before we sat down here, and you told me about feeling stupid growing up. It touched me so deeply because I grew up feeling like I was stupid. And if you looked at my grades in school, maybe I was, you know, to that standard. But what the grades didn't show was the struggle at home that was keeping me from being able to study. What the grades didn't show was the emotional weight that I was carrying on the shoulders of a 7 and an 8-year-old who didn't have the capacity to do that. So I couldn't show up in school that way. And so when you become a product of your circumstances, which happens when we're young, we kind of have no choice. We're in the container we find ourselves in, and we start to adapt to what's around us. And that's how we get down paths that we didn't want to walk down, but now we're like halfway down, or we're all the way down the road, and everyone around us is on it too. How do we find that when we don't feel it?
Again, you can watch all these talks, you can watch all these conversations, but really it has to come through internal. When this motivation or whatever comes from the external, you'll always be dependent on needing the external to be motivated. The time where I wasn't confident in myself, I would take it back to high school. Like, I grew up a really, really sad kid. And it's really interesting because when I'm
depressed?
Depressed, like sad, like I didn't really feel like I had value in this world.
And how did you cope with that? What was showing up in your life to mask that depression?
Well, for me, it was poetry. Around 9th grade, 10th grade, I was in and out of court, and I was just going through a lot. Honestly, as a kid, I didn't talk a lot. I was very, very sad. I didn't really I wasn't social like that, so I would write. And for me, I always had this belief that, well, maybe, God forbid, you know what I'm saying, I weren't here to just live anymore. Someone would be able to read my poem. And so I found that thing of writing music, of telling my story, and I felt that was for me. Then I started sharing it, and that's kind of where things opened up for me, because my friends didn't have that. They didn't have that thing where they can go to and feel like, well, this is me. I get to have a thing to express all the things that I'm feeling. Sometimes it's hard to see a way out when you're in a cloud. You know what I'm saying? When everything is foggy and everything is blurred, it's hard to see what you're in when you're inside it. So sometimes I always say, if you can find a way to get out of your environment for just a second,
yes.
You know what I'm saying? If maybe it's taking a walk or spending time at a friend's for just a bit. The main thing that I would say, because everybody works differently too. Some people need mindfulness and meditation and prayer and all these things.
Right.
So if your style is you need to work, like that's how it was for me, get your mind busy and get out of the situation by working hard, then that's the way that works for you. If it's by sitting down and saying, how do I feel right now? Let me analyze and go through my emotions and write things down and talk about feelings and express that way. If that works for you, do that. But it's about knowing yourself.
And that is, I would say that it takes time to get there.
100%.
It's not the first path usually, and that's okay, I think. And I think that's why we are having these conversations. We're talking about entrepreneurship, but we're talking about it from an emotional, social aspect. We are actually talking about it from a mindfulness lens right now,
100%.
because we're talking about the true struggles that happen and what propels us forward. And that's why I think creative expression is such a powerful thing, however way we do that. And you are an artist, a creator, a musician, but your creativity also comes out in the way you teach in community. Your creativity comes out even in just conversation. I mean, just in the way you intellectualize, it's creative. You have to find what that outlet is for you to be fully you.
How I feel personally is you have to go through some things. Like for me, when I first started performing, gigs started coming so fast. So I started playing the corporate game and getting so many corporate gigs. And corporate gigs are so different from personal music gigs, because it's just like, you feel like almost like a sellout or whatever. When you're a person of color, there's this idea that when you're performing for what we call the white man or whatever, like you're selling out. You know what I'm saying? Like you're doing a dance for people. And I just kept feeling like that. And then, but these are the gigs that are paying the most. They're putting money in my pocket, and I was feeling good, and I wouldn't be able to do music if I wasn't getting these gigs, but I constantly felt weird about that internally. And so I got to a point where I was playing so many gigs that I had to quit. I stopped and I was like, I don't want to play any more shows. Anyone called me for a gig, I was like, no, I'm not taking the gig. And I moved to Philippines. I booked a one-way ticket, didn't tell anyone, and I just lived in a village for about a month and a half with little kids. And I saw the way of living there, and I saw how hard they worked and how much little they had. Like I'd see 7, 8-year-old kids literally like having buckets baskets of fish on their heads and hustling. Do you need fish? Like, would you like to buy fish? Kids driving, 13-year-old kids driving taxis, you know what I'm saying? Just to help provide for their family. They lived day by day, they worked hard. We didn't have things like warm water, it didn't have things like a clean space to live in. I remember I'd wake up and I lived in a hut, and every day I'd wake up and bugs would be crawling all over my body. I would have rashes on my body. And that was just the lifestyle that I lived, and I realized over there, being away from everything and not gigging, that I have so much opportunities here.
Yes.
How lucky am I? You know how many kids in this world dream to have something like this, to live in the city that we live in, to have the opportunities that you have? How can you look at your life and say that you're not happy? And that's where I truly understood my parents, because they come from they're immigrants.
Right.
So they understand what it's like to live in the dirt poverty in a third world country. And they would always tell me, you don't understand, you have so much. And I would be like, you don't know how much I don't have anything. You're not here for me emotionally, and but I never understood it from their lens.
Right.
But when you live and you see it from the other side, you live through the workaholic stage, then you go on the opposite, and it's like, I'm a minimalist now. I live in a hut, in a village, in the middle of nowhere, and I have no family, and I have to create something for myself and create a new identity. When I came to the terms with myself, I was like, you know what? I have so much here. Something as basic as warm water, toilet paper, a place to sleep at night, a bed without bugs on it, street dogs that aren't trying to kill me for walking at night. Like, I had someone point a gun at my face when I was walking in one of the villages at night. And it was like the most terrifying thing. You come back here and I'm like, wow, not only do I not have to worry about any of those things here,
I've got the corporate gigs.
but I've got corporate gigs, and I'm paying my own gigs, and I'm making a name for myself.
100%.
I came back here and I'm like, I'm ready now. But I think the thing is, though, you need to go through it. Every time I do something now, it's with passion, because I know what it's like to not have this. I know what it's like to not even, I know there are people in the city who literally are not sitting and having these conversations.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Who are not getting these kinds of opportunities. So who am I? If I'm here, I'm going to make the most out of it. I'm going to be the happiest, and I'm going to be the most grateful in the room right now.
The key lesson in what you're saying is that even when we feel that we're experiencing the worst of the worst, there is somebody somewhere that wants to be in our shoes. And that is, I think, so the truth. And so that practice of gratitude, of being able to recognize the privilege that we do have. And yes, I know there is a lot of struggle in this country. There's a lot of struggle in this city every single day. But there is also a lot of privilege, and there are opportunities always for us to make choices, but not if we allow our conditioning or our past or someone else's belief system choose for us. So it's seizing those moments.
That's the beauty of life. What I always tell people is, like, how lucky are we that the last challenge we have to face is the one up here? How lucky are we that we live in a country where we can create opportunities for ourselves? We can, like, how much is it to start a business? Like $60 to register your business. Like, wow, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? And you can do whatever you please in this world. I mean, to an extent. But there are some places in the world that still have slavery, you know what I'm saying, that are going through war. Places in the world that are going through disgusting conditions right now. But we get to wake up, and the last thing we have to deal with is figuring out whether we deserve an opportunity or not. We're lucky. For me, how I look at it is, I'm gonna do all my ancestors justice by fighting this one last battle for them. You know what I'm saying? Because once I take control of this, all my kids are gonna be good from here. That's it.
I think the important thing to kind of define here is that a lot of the times when we talk about financial literacy, we fail to address how to make money, you know, which is the first step. I think what we're really doing today is we're really talking about making money from the perspective of it's a mindset. Making money is a mindset.
Oh, yeah.
And if we don't have the right mindset, and we allow our conditioning or our beliefs or, you know, the things that we hear or even the things that we see define us, then we can't go beyond. We can't accomplish that great goal. We can't break those barriers. We can't, you know, turn the part-time job into the successful business that, you know, takes us up to become the, you know, multi-millionaire or whatever it is. If you start to look at your thinking, that's where you uncover the ability to earn.
Yeah.
And that's where you uncover the ability to set your own standards and to move beyond that. I believe that people need support. I believe people need mentorship. I believe people need expansion, really. I believe that they need to be able to see something that maybe they couldn't see in their own surroundings. But the actual will to cross that bridge comes from you.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get your sense on this idea of mentorship for success in business, in finance. What's your opinion? And then I'll tell you mine, but I want to see what you think.
A lot of times from what I see is we don't have enough mentors that are involved in different communities. For example, when I was growing up, a lot of the mentors I had were from my community, and they were teaching me how to be a musician, how to be an artist, but through the lens of somebody who's only a community artist. So they can only give me what they have experienced. For me, as a mentor and working in different communities, I see it as very, very important to not only be able to work in my community, but also work in the industry as well. Because now when I work through all the things that I learned through corporate, through industry, I come back to the community and say, look, this is how we get out of here. This is how we don't stay in the community. You know what I'm saying? Because if you stay in the community, you know, we're only gonna know what the community says. You know what I'm saying? It means you have to live a certain way to a certain standard. You can't make more than this, or you have to whatever. And I work in communities that are just rough. Being a mentor who has seen another side of it, who has seen it from the industry lens, like I work for a label as a performance and vocal coach, so I'm working with industry artists. I see it from that lens. I'm able to tell them, like, not only am I giving you, like, am I sharing what I've learned with you, but there's proof to show for it. But I think it's the people who are actually doing it that you want to learn from.
Yeah, you want someone in the thick of it, on the ground.
I want someone going right through it. I
Yeah.
don't care. I don't even care if you don't need to be Drake. You don't need to be the CEO or whatever. But I want you to be somewhat just grinding, understand. Teach me what you're learning right now. It's a call on the mentors to be honest about things. Like, I work in so many communities, and the thing is, these kids are really intelligent. What we need to be able to speak to these kids in a way where I don't see you for being black, for being white, for being privileged, for being not privileged, for being rich, for being poor. I see you for being a human being that has something to offer to the world, and that's how I'm gonna speak to you. You know what I'm saying? I don't see you as a person who's dealing with trauma or not dealing with trauma. I'm going to speak to you as a human being that is capable and that is worthy. And I think once we're able to speak to them on a level where they're at, that is honest, that is not in a way of like, we're just trying to integrate and come from a place that feels like we're doing good. You know what I'm saying? It feels like, look at us, we're doing great. We're mixing the black kids with the white kids, the rich with the poor. That doesn't feel fake. That comes from a place of, look, you come from this neighborhood, you come from this neighborhood. Take that out of this room when you come in this room. When you walk in this room, get all that out of your head. I don't care.
There's something to learn from all of the experiences, really the truth. But I think that you're so right, and I think it's the authenticity that matters most out of a mentor.
100%.
Also, from an actual mentor, I want to hear how you screwed up. I don't want you coming in all perfect, telling me that this is the perfect way and this is how you do it.
Exactly.
And I want to hear about when you bled on your knees. And I want to actually know where you're still bleeding.
Exactly.
Because the truth is, not one single one of us, I don't care what the title is, I don't care where we've made ourselves, the money that's in our account, we are all evolving constantly. We are never a finished deal.
Then that's
that
the thing.
canvas always has another layer.
That's it, and that's what I have to constantly remind people in our communities is literally that, look, this person is a human being, and we got something to learn from each other, got something to offer for each other, and we're here. Both of us have life experiences that can help each other understand each other better, so that when we move forward, you know what I'm saying, next time you come across a Filipino person or a person from neighborhoods that I come from, communities that I come from, you'll understand that they're human beings too. 100%. And I'm gonna treat them and look at them like they're a human being.
Well, and I think that's why you've been so successful in so many spaces, is because you've been open to learning, to connecting, to creating with people from all walks.
Doesn't matter,
You
exactly.
are okay and comfortable to walk into the bank and see what they want creatively, and from your heart build it. And you're also okay to walk into community and to sit down and to do those things. And that is the true measure of success. And that is where the best entrepreneurial ideas come from. That's where your success really lies, is being able to come outside of your comfort zone, come out of the circle that is so familiar.
You need to look at yourself and decide what you believe about the world. I think not enough people really think about, well, how do I feel about money? Do I hate money? Oh, cool. If you hate money, then you can't be mad when you don't have money. What capitalism taught me was that I can give to the people around me. Like when I first started like performing and stuff, so for a good couple years, it's just me, and I would just perform with a backing track or whatever. Then I started incorporating musicians. And then I started realizing that now I have people to pay, right? And so now I have to ask for a little bit more from event bookers and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Because if I don't fight for myself to get paid higher and whatnot, you know what I'm saying, this person doesn't have a you know, a meal, you know what I'm saying, this week or whatever. This person can't pay for their phone bill or what, like literally whatever it is, I'm paying people. That's a good feeling. And that's why, again, I love entrepreneurship. And to me, capitalism it's like people who love the competition, who love like, who find a thrill of being competitive. For me, that's what I love. It's about fighting for more, getting more opportunities so that your people get taken care of. I can't save everybody, but how good does it feel when I'm able to pay people? Well, that's the best feeling in the world.
The concept that I have become completely obsessed with and want to define myself this way. I see the value of capitalism. I also see the suffering that capitalism has brought to the planet as well. I do. And that's why I am feeling into this idea of this conscious capitalism. This idea that through mindfulness and consciousness, we could actually create a system that could have some aspects of capitalism where, you know, we could have the freedom to go after whatever we want, which is really, freedom is ultimately, I think, what's underlining there. But I love this idea of social innovation, of social entrepreneurship.
100%.
So profitable enterprise that is proportionately giving back to solve community social issue. To be able to say that my product, whether directly or indirectly, can afford me the ability to have an income that can take care of me and the people around me, and that I can also have an abundance that I can use that to reinvest in community. So for all of the young people that are watching us right now that feel hungry for change, but disenfranchised with business, disenfranchised with money, I argue to you that the freedom and a road that can be used to propel yourself out is through business. And this is another thing that I want people to know that are listening. The thing you love the most, the things that genuinely pique your interest, the things that when you're learning about it doesn't feel like learning, that's also your ticket. That's your pathway.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's your pathway. Don't believe for a second that it's not. It's 100% your pathway.
100%.